All right, welcome everyone. Just letting everyone into the meeting here. All right, perfect. So it looks like we're going to maybe give another 30 seconds or so for any last minute attendees, but we want to welcome everyone being here today. Again, excited to have Justin from Custom Trailer Pros joining us. So if we want to go to the next slide, we'll go ahead and introduce the folks that are here today. So starting off, my name's Kaylee Hagan. I'm our Director of Membership and Growth here at the National Street Food Vendors Association. We're going to share more about our association and how you can join at the end, so definitely stay tuned for a special offer. We also then have Bill Moore, who's our founder and executive director here at NSFVA. Bill has written 5 books about street food vending. He's worked in many a corporate America restaurant space, and he has owned a food truck, a hot dog cart, and so he's a wealth of knowledge to have. Today, running the show is Justin Prestidge, the CEO of Custom Trailer Pros. He's one of our gold sponsors here at NSFVA, very passionate about supporting this industry, and so we welcome him every time he wants to share a webinar and some knowledge bombs with us. So with that, I'll go ahead and kick it over to Justin to get us started.
Yeah, and I'll be very respectful of everybody's time. We're going to go through this as quickly as possible and leave as much space for questions at the end of this as well. I think we're scheduled for 30 minutes. I'm happy to stay longer if need be, but we also won't keep anybody past that if you need to go. So let's dive right into buying a food truck or a food trailer. This is it's a really big topic, and so we're really going to hit the main big points here. We'll get into a little bit of detail, and then we'll leave it open for questions. This is a topic that we could spend hours upon, and so I do want to make sure we touch the big things on this. For more information on this, Bill and I have made several videos together that are on the YouTube pages of both NSFVA and Custom Trailer Pros. Bill has written an article on how to buy a food truck. I've got information at customtrailerpros.com on how to do it as well. So there's a lot of resources between Custom Trailer Pros and the NSFVA that can get you more detail on this subject. The first thing I want to cover is when you're buying, don't get ripped off. I know it seems easy and everybody thinks it won't happen to me. And yet we get calls on a regular basis that says, I need from people who are saying, I need help. I just got ripped off. And that is my least favorite call to receive from anybody. And I hate hearing that. We have helped countless people try to recover from that position, including we just got a call last week from a lady who had given somebody money from TikTok, and it was a fake Custom Trailer Pros account on TikTok, and she sent them a deposit because it seemed to be too good to be true. And so we'll cover 4 quick things here to avoid or to look out for when you're buying a food truck or food trailer. The deals that are too good to be true, again, I know it seems so obvious, but this is probably the number one thing. And what scammers will do is say, hey, I just need a small deposit, and that will just keep it in your name. And so we've heard from people who've sent off $500, $5,000, as high as $50,000. And so that's again, just a gut-wrenching thing that we hate hearing. And so if something seems too good to be true, as exciting as that can be, and as much as you will want to jump on it to secure your spot, you still need to go through your due diligence, because I don't want you to be added to this long list of people who have been ripped off in this industry. So never be in a hurry to send money to somebody in order to get that good deal. This is the most common way we see people get ripped off. One way to avoid that is just do some research. Even 10 minutes of research can clearly indicate whether someone is legit or not. If you're buying from a dealer, it makes it a lot easier. And I know I am a dealer, so I'm biased in this regard, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen other dealers rip people off, and it makes me so frustrated. And it's the same guys over and over again. A lot of times there are people, if I said, hey, there's somebody in Florida, a big dealer that was in the industry for a long time that ripped a lot of people off. Bill probably knows exactly who I'm talking about because they had a terrible reputation for a long time. And yet it confused me of like, why are people still giving them money? If you go on Google, their reviews were awful. If you go on Facebook, they turned off their reviews. If you go on the Better Business Bureau, they had a terrible rating with a lot of pending lawsuits against them. And so anybody who would do 10 minutes of research could have found all of those things on that dealer and avoided giving them money. So do your research as you get rolling with this. And then ask for references. Any good dealer will be happy to provide references from happy customers. I have a handful I can think of off the top of my head by name, but we also keep good relationship. If I go to my service manager who handles everybody after they've received their trailer, we could create a list of 100 people that we could refer you to who have bought from us in the last year alone who would be happy to talk to you. And so never be afraid to ask for references from dealers. And then if you can, visit their facility. This is such a big deal. We've had so many people where things seem to be really good until they went to the facility and actually saw the product and met the people who were building it. And then they were immediately like, oh, thank God we did that. These are not the guys for me. And so, and we love it. So if somebody asks us if they can come visit our facility, it's an immediate yes for us. Some other places actually will try to say no, or that they have liability issues, is why you can't come, things like that. But those are all just reasons not to have you there because they're worried about what you're going to see when you go. If you're buying used, this opens the door to so many scams and risks that there's no way to cover it in this presentation. I'm not saying it's bad. There is a way to buy used and be okay, but you do need to just be aware of what's out there and why it's a risk. Um, the number of scams in the used market is just crazy. Literally the other day, we saw a question in Bill's Facebook training group on Facebook of from a lady who said, "I want to buy." I'm in, I think she was in Illinois, and she tried to buy from one place, and it was a scam. They were using a real place name and just changed it slightly to make it look like they were from a real place, and it was a scam. And she almost got ripped off buying a used vehicle from them. And so the amount of stuff that's out there is incredible. And so this is where we go back to the previous slide of like, please, please, please don't be in a hurry to give somebody your money because it's too good to be true. Always see the product before you send them any money at all. Don't believe the line. I can't, like, I see this all the time when I see listings on Facebook Marketplace that say passes all codes. Codes are different city to city, county to county, state to state. There's a lot of variance. Some food trucks are built and pass the codes at the time that they were purchased. And so they might even get grandfathered into some of the changing codes, but we've seen it over and over again. When somebody else now buys that same food truck, it has to pass the current codes. It doesn't get grandfathered in anymore. And so now you have to spend a lot of time and money and effort getting it up to the current codes that it wasn't. So when people say passes all codes, I'm highly suspicious of that. And so you've got to be really aware of what your codes are. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then the VIN number. Verify your VIN with local authorities. This seems so oddly specific and so random. We had a trailer that was stolen from us and then sold with a fake title, and the VIN number did not check out. And so when they when the new owners registered the trailer, it triggered the state. The state called the local sheriff, and they showed up in a couple days at their door to repossess the trailer from that person because they had bought a stolen trailer. That person knew that we were the original dealer for the trailer, and they called us in a panic because the sheriff said, I have to take your trailer and I have to return it to Custom Trailer Pros. And so we worked it out with them to leave their trailer so that they could start their business. But that was a very big deal. And that was a $50,000 mistake that they made by buying a used trailer with a stolen VIN number. And then the other thing to be aware of is that there's a lot of systems. This isn't just a cargo trailer or a box truck that you're talking about. There's plumbing, there's electrical, there's framing, there's the structure of the truck or trailer. If you're buying a truck, there's the mechanical aspect of it as well. And so this is where I've seen a lot of people get ripped off because they buy, it's the same as buying a car, right? It's like sometimes people buy a lemon thinking that they're getting something great because they don't know what they're looking at. And so if you're not really familiar with all of those things, you got to have somebody in your corner who is really familiar with those things, or you might want to avoid buying used. I had a friend that bought used and she didn't know anything about that stuff. And it took her 2 years to open her trailer because there's nothing about that was correct. So in her spare time, she had to ask people for help to go through. None of those systems were correct. The plumbing, the electrical, the framing, all that stuff. So she had to slowly rebuild her trailer and she lost 2 years of selling seasons because of it. And then do what you can to verify the truck or trailer is compliant with local codes. And so this is where having familiarity with your local codes and having connections with your health inspectors and fire safety guys is going to be really important. And so we'll get right into that. Establishing a good working relationship with local authorities goes a long way. And so please be sure that you understand the expectations from your health department, from your fire marshal. Your city, county, and state codes often apply. And so beyond that, there's business licenses and local ordinances, and all these things impact your ability to open. And so, for example, the right truck with the wrong generator can be a costly mistake. And so we saw this even immediately following COVID become a big issue where generators were kind of an afterthought. But then during COVID, the amount of places that food trucks could go expanded dramatically. And so that included like neighborhood associations bringing in food trucks weekly and all that. But then the noise ordinances got really strict because of that. And so now quiet generators are, I see it more often than not that they are required. And so some people have spent a lot of money on a loud generator and then they can't go. There's a bunch of events and places that they can't go to because of it. And so that's not a health code or a fire safety code, but it might be an ordinance that you need to be aware of locally where you operate. Beyond that, it's a pain in the butt for your customers. And the quiet generators have come a long way and their prices have come down dramatically. So it's definitely worth the investment. Number three, this is it. This is an interesting place to go with this, but before you even start looking at what you're going to buy, you need to look at what you're going to serve and how you're going to serve it. And you're going to want to buy something that fits within that. Too often we see people who are buying a food truck or trailer and then they try to make their menu fit what's already in it. And that's the backwards way of doing it. And so if you don't know your menu, you can't know your food truck needs. And a large menu, this is a concept that I talk about quite a bit, but a large menu is a bigger truck with more equipment, but it also means that it's going to be hard to execute quickly and consistently. So starting with something that's smaller means that you're going to be able to serve a lot of food in a short amount of time. And that is how you make money in this industry. And so I got ahead of myself, but you'll be able to better understand and manage your costs, where your pricing needs to be, and you'll be able to execute really well with that smaller menu. And so once you have your menu down, now you can create a successful design. So you know your codes, you have your menu, and you're ready to think, how can I execute these things at a high level? This is a business. I hear from people all the time that say, like, oh, my aunt says I should sell my food. It's so good. Like, that's a good place to start. But if you aren't maximizing your efficiency, your business won't last very long. And we've seen the dream turn into a nightmare for people, and that's a really sad thing for us to watch. My most successful customers understand the time between taking that order and handing food out the window is one of the biggest factors in determining their success. You don't ignore all the other things. You got to have good food. You have to have good customer service, all of that cleanliness. But that service time is one of the biggest factors that will determine how well you do. Because at some point, no matter how good your food is, if it takes too long, people aren't going to come back and wait for it. And so understanding the equipment needed along with the most efficient layout means you can now put together your budget for buying a food truck. So when we talk about this, the first thing that most of my customers come to me with is they will call us up and say, my budget is X. And we say, what are you trying to do with that? Well, I'm going to cook burgers and fries and chicken tenders, and we're also going to serve tacos and pizza and all this stuff, big dreamers. And they say we want to have something for everyone. And so as we've talked about, that creates a a challenge with serving efficiently, setting up your food truck efficiently, being able to carry enough inventory on your food truck to make all of that food. But also, we see people start with their budget, and then we might talk them through all this stuff, but they're trying to fit everything that they're doing within their specific budget. And most of the time, they might think, oh, they might come to us and say, like, well, I want a pizza trailer, but my budget is 20,000. Well, if the pizza oven costs 10,000, we're already way behind the eight ball. And so instead of starting with your budget, this is where we say start with your menu, start with your equipment, what's your setup going to be, and then the budget is what it is, and we've got to figure out how can you secure the financials to make this happen. And so I know this is a sensitive thing to talk about because we don't nobody has unending resources or things like that. But it's almost like saying, I want a new Toyota Tundra and my budget is 20,000. Like those two things just don't line up, right? And so if you want an efficient pizza trailer that can help you serve a lot of food in a short amount of time, then we have to figure out what the realistic budget is going to be instead of trying to make all of that fit into a really small budget. And so there are financing options that help with that. But part of why I put emphasis on this is I want everybody to start a successful business. And so having something that is efficient and is going to serve you really well and help you serve a lot of food in a short amount of time is going to help you make a lot more money. And so it will cover that difference. The increased costs will actually get erased because you're able to make a lot more money doing it the right way. And then over time, it becomes exponential, the amount of success that you're able to have if you understand these things. We have a customer right now whose trailer is in production with us. It's their fourth trailer that they've bought from us. And their first three trailers were all to serve the same thing, just to serve it better and faster. And because they kept understanding, like, oh, I can do this better and more efficiently, they sold their old one and would buy a new one to enable themselves to do it. All they do are large festivals, so it's a little bit unique for them. But getting their plate time down from 2.5 minutes to under 30 seconds has made them thousands and thousands of dollars. And so they've understood that getting the setup right to help them do that is totally worth it. Thank you. I know I flew through that so fast. So again, the goal of that is to leave time for questions at the end of this. There are so many more directions that we could go with that. But I'll hand it over to Kaylee first for a minute before we get into the questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. We really appreciate your support here at NSFVA, and your passion for advocating for and educating street food vendors really shows. So it's always a pleasure when you come and join us for a webinar. So thank you very much.
Always happy to.
So if you've got questions, you can reach out to Justin directly. We're going to include his email here on the slide. And like Justin mentioned earlier, there are a ton of free resources online. Bill and Justin have filmed a ton of videos together about the space and how to get started and what to look out for. And you dig into other concepts like food cost and menu design and all these types of things. So go check out the YouTube channels. As far as other educational resources, Bill has a podcast. It's called 10-Minute Food Truck Training you can dig into. So lots of places you can go. What we've done is we've actually created a checklist for you. It's called the How to Buy a Food Truck Checklist. It's available to you on our website now for free. So you will go to nsfva.org/register, create a free account. You'll go to our library and find it there. And I think if you click one more time, Justin, there's a quick photo of what this will look like. So if you don't already have an account with NSFVA, go create one and get your checklist to make sure that you're on the right page. So with that being said, a few questions came in. I saw one here that said, Bill and Justin, are you both going to be at the expo?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes, we will.
Yes, and we will be. The nice thing is we get put right next to each other on the floor. So if you come on the trade show floor, we'll be right by each other. My booth will have a large custom built trailer there, so we're pretty easy to spot. And we'll be right next to Bill, and you'll be able to spot his booth because there's normally a long line of people waiting to ask him questions, take pictures, get autographs, all the things. He's the rock star of the show, and we're all just living in his shadow while we're there. And so, so we'll both be there on the show is Tuesday and Wednesday, August 4th and 5th. And so Bill and I are both speaking Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. It's my least favorite spot to go in is when I have to go head to head with Bill. I've literally seen rooms where Bill's room has standing room only at the back, and there's someone trying to teach a class next to him with three people in it. And it's rough to see. I always feel bad for people in that situation. Now I get to be one of those people in that situation, so I'm not really looking forward to it. My class at that time will be, it's called Success is Not a Guessing Game, and it's the business tools that we're going to talk about that are designed to help you be successful as you get rolling in this endeavor. And then we have a panel discussion on Wednesday at 11:45 that Bill and I do together. And that's always like my favorite part of the show is there are a lot of really, really good questions that come out of that time. And so, Bill, I know you've got a lot more going on than that.
I do. At the time that you're giving your presentation, I'll be talking about menus and how to write a menu. I haven't given that presentation since 2024, and I updated it completely, so it's all brand new. So even if you heard me speak about it, you need to hear this one. Then at 1:30, I'm talking about why food truck owners and tent owners and trailer and all of the different vendors need to learn how to speak as a single voice so we can effect some changes that actually make sense and not depend upon the politicians to make things better because they typically don't. Then on Wednesday, I got a panel discussion before Justin and I have our panel discussion. I'm going to be a part of Food Corridors panel discussion, and what they represent is commissaries and shared kitchens. A lot of states that is a requirement, and they have a lot of resources. So I'm actually kind of excited to be a part of theirs. Not sure why they wanted me, but they asked me, so I'm going to be there. Then Justin and I at 11:45, which this will be the third time, I guess, fourth time?
Fourth time, I believe.
Yeah, and every time it is near standing room only. They keep putting us in bigger and bigger rooms, and we keep filling the rooms up. And we typically go longer than the time they allot us, and they have to come in and take the backdrop from behind us and basically tell us to shut up. And that's okay, because we're there to help people be successful. And then at 1:30 on Wednesday, I'm talking about marketing. All new presentation for that one as well. And then Adam saying, don't forget about the meetup at Eggman ATX. That's on Tuesday morning at 7 in the morning. We're going to go there. He's a food truck owner I've worked with since 2024. He's now got 3 food trucks and a ghost kitchen, and he's doing amazing sales. Each individual food truck does more than some of the fast food restaurants that Melissa and I have had. So he's a pretty good guy. So we'll go to his food truck, which is 3/4 of a mile down the road from the Palmer Event Center. So if you'd like to join us 7 o'clock on Tuesday morning, have breakfast there. And I've had his breakfast. It's really good. I'm looking forward to going there and just eating one of his new products he's been advertising. So I'm excited just to have breakfast.
And I bet you a lot of folks are going, man, it's 2 weeks from now, it's not convenient or I can't make it. We don't want anyone to have FOMO. We do our best to record these sessions and then make them available to our members within the Video Vault section of our website. So if you're a member, actually, if you're a member now, you can go in and see last year's panel discussion. That full video is up and live for you. So, another benefit of being a member. But thank you guys. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It should be a fun time. There's another question here from Adam that says, Justin, what's been your favorite build so far?
That's a good question. We've done a lot of really unique builds, even though we've been focused on food. We've got a commercial customer that he might have 2 of my top builds, honestly. And one is we just did a series of builds for him, and it's these massive gooseneck kitchen trailers because the University of Nebraska is redoing their stadium, and so all their kitchens are closed down, but all their home football games will still be in that stadium. And so they're having these 4 massive kitchen trailers around the outside of the stadium that are going to cook all 100% of the food for their home games and then deliver all that food up to the concession stands, even though no cooking will be done at those stands. And so all the home games at University of Nebraska will be featuring food that's cooked in our trailer. So that's exciting. I'm in Kansas City, so that's only a few hours from us. So that's a fun build. And we're in the middle of completing, for the same exact purpose, completing 4 locker rooms now for those guys. So it's a really unique thing for us to be able to do. And so we like having a little bit of a new challenge, even though it's outside of the food space. But because we've worked so well with that customer, he was like, well, what about this type of stuff? So, and the next set of trailers that we'll tackle for them are bathroom trailers. So, I like those unique challenges of being able to do that. Otherwise, we've just done so many awesome, I mean, from teeny tiny coffee trailers that just look like a lot of fun, where one person can run it by themselves and just crush it, to massive, full, almost like food production trailers. We did a Mexican trailer that, meaning that for Mexican food, all of our trailers are American made, but that went to Denver, and he's making all his own tortillas and all that stuff on the food trailer. And it's a visual spectacle that you can watch them make all that stuff. And so it was a massive cook line that was really cool to see his vision come together at the end of that. It's the same, like he's got to sell a ton of tortilla. From a business perspective, I'm always like, okay, that's awesome. You got to sell a ton of tortillas, but he's got the vision to make that happen. And so that was a cool one to see as well.
I like that you brought that up, the number of tortillas to sell. If you read the origin story of the guy that started Chipotle, he broke it down into the number of burritos he needed to sell. So, I mean, that's just such a good analogy.
Yeah, 100%. That's always how I like to look at it. What's your units what's your break even budget to, and how many units do you got to sell? If your main thing is burgers or whatever, pizza slices, like, okay, once you sell 100, you broke even for today, and everything you sell above and beyond that is money in your pocket to take care of tomorrow's problems, probably. But it is good to have those numbers in your head as you're operating, for sure.
All right. Do we have any other questions? And I think if anyone's got any final questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, but maybe we'll leave you guys with this. Bill, Justin, any final pieces of advice for folks looking to get into the space, maybe to buy their first truck or trailer? Um, Anything you think you want to share before we go?
I'll let you go first, Justin.
Okay, yeah, my big one is to build your community. So even I'll use Adam as a good example. Adam Dixon is here. He's investing in himself by attending these. He's very active on social media, both in the food truck training page with NSFVA, even with Custom Trailer Pros social media. And even as an experienced operator, he continues to invest in himself and in his business. And I would just say, don't ever underestimate how powerful that can be to build your community of resources around you. I'm a business coach when I'm not doing this, and I can tell you firsthand, entrepreneurship can be a lonely road. And so having people around you who actually get it and who understand what it's like and can encourage you when things get difficult or give you good advice on a problem that seems too big to overcome, those things can actually be the difference between whether you make it or don't make it in any industry. And the food space is a very tough industry to be in. So having as many resources in your back pocket as possible and as much community around you as possible is going to be a really crucial key to your success as you get rolling with everything.
Absolutely. Building a network is going to not only help ensure your success, it's also just a habit you need to get into no matter what business you're in, because you're always going to need help from someone else in some way, shape, or form. One of the things that I talk about in my books and in some of the master classes is there's going to be breakdowns. No matter what you buy, it is going to need to have some type of repair work or maintenance work. You might as well just go ahead and start making those calls today. Who's going to do your refrigeration? Because you're going to have a refrigerator break down on the worst possible day. It never breaks down when you're off. It breaks down when you're open. So who are you going to call? And if you don't have those numbers already lined up and talk to people, you're paying emergency hourly wages for them just to show up. And then you're paying big, big money because they know they have you over a barrel because you're in emergency. Oh, I got to get this fixed. Besides refrigeration, who's going to change a tire? Do you know how to change it? Do you have a jack that's strong enough to lift the truck or trailer up? Those kind of things people need to think about really at the point that they're talking to Justin, one of his sales folks. Who is going to be working on this? Who's the authorized service for the different refrigeration or the other pieces of equipment? Because you cannot stand alone. Every week, Adam joins us every single week. I don't think you miss maybe one out of all the different classes and coachings that we've done. And there's questions that come up that everybody else helps to answer. One of our members has had propane issues, and it took us several meetings to help chase those down. But between Adam's experience and mine, we were able to get him to fix that propane issue because he wasn't having enough feed into all of his different pieces of equipment. And he had bought used, and the used had been used. So it had been repaired and cobbled together, and it passed, thankfully, but it wasn't as efficient of a unit as it could have been. So we spent, like I said, many coaching sessions helping him work through those problems. And that's what it really is about when you join our association or when you go with somebody that's like Justin. He cares. You heard him, talk about a story about a theft of one of their trailers, and then the sheriff's is going to bring it back to Custom Trailer Pros. They worked out a deal with the guy that was had been taken. They care about people. I've seen it when I've been at both his sales office and his production plant, and when his team gets together, you can tell they care about each other, and that's just so rare to have employees that actually care, number one, about what they're doing, that care about each other, and then care about what the end user is going to get. I mean, I heard them talking back and forth about, hey, we need to do this better. And Justin and his plant manager, Casey, nowhere near. They're just on the food truck, sweeping and cleaning and getting ready to ship off. Hey, we need to do this. We need to fix this. That tells you that those are the kind of people you want to hang out with. That's how you get to be better. You cannot do this by yourself.
Well, thank you all. I don't see any other questions in the chat. We do have this recording. It's going to get emailed out to everyone after the fact if you want to watch it back. But we want to thank you again for being here. Thank you so much to Justin for today's presentation and sharing his expertise with us. We just really appreciate your support at the association. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure to be with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to being with you guys in person in Austin in a couple of weeks. And I appreciate everybody who is attending this as well. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. And thank you, Adam, for participating.
We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and see you next month.
Sounds
Right.
good. Y'all take care.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Bye.